Hello YouTube. So this is the first video. Never made a video on YouTube before. I've been watching YouTube since 2007. So this is gonna be my first video. Don't mind the mess behind me. My wife is on vacation for the past month. She's coming home tomorrow, so I still have to clean. Now I'm making this video. If you see the name of my channel, it's called Data Quest. Now I originally made this channel to actually help. Actually, it was just for me to actually film myself learning data analytics and then post it online, but I just never did it. So this will be a video of actually how I think that people should be getting data jobs. Okay, right now the market, as we know, is saturated, and I have been on Reddit, and probably most of you have been on Reddit or LinkedIn or whatever. And you see people look for work 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months, a year, 2 years, whatever it may be. Now, this is completely unscripted. This is just from my experience. So my background is I actually just moved back to the US. I was living abroad for like a decade. And basically my previous position, I started university late. I'm 32 years old, 31 years old now. I started university late. I graduated at like 28, 29. I worked at a company where I was just writing SQL code all day and working with SAP and stuff like that. So not even related to analytics, but that's what I knew I wanted to do. I moved back to the US with my wife in September. And I started looking for work in October until we got acclimated and decided on where we're going to be living. And now I live in a big city. I live in Dallas, Texas right now. And I actually submitted around 150 applications before I got my current position. Now, what I believe is the issue with the analytics world right now on YouTube, on LinkedIn, or job searching in general, is people have been sort of sold on a bill of lies. I don't recommend for most people to begin working in the tech space. I recommend, first of all, that people don't even begin working in analytics, because analytics, at the end of the day, you need a lot of background for it. I recommend, first of all, getting a resume that's looks good. I recommend, if you don't have the physical experience, I'd recommend trying to find experience working at least in SQL or something like this, because it will be very beneficial. At the end of the day, someone is going to hire you to do work, and they want to work with you as little as possible. That's just how it is. Just the facts. If you are and usually those are a little bit easier, and you will have to take a pay cut. My first position, I was making, I think, after tax, like $2,000 a month, $2,000 a month, and I now work in my current position. I'm not even a data analytics. I'm more of like a pricing analyst, but I do work in analytics as well. And I would say that you will need to not make a lot of money at the beginning. And anybody that says, I can make, 50, 60, $70,000 at the beginning, maybe it's true, but not likely. Unless you were a really good student in university and you got a ton of internships. But most people, when you watch on YouTube, had that X factor that, they won't say that, they'll say, I work at Meta, or I work at Google, or I work at whatever. Then you realize that person had 600 different internships during their university career. Most people are like me. I barely passed college. I was a C student probably throughout my entire university. I barely got through university, and I did in where I'm from, instead of 4 years, it's 3 years. So I have a bachelor's degree in economics and management, and I also specialize in information systems as well. And that's what I did. And then towards the end of my university degree, I did a course, a 3 months course, 6 months course in analytics, where we did more Python and SQL and or SQL. SQL doesn't really matter. Excel, Power BI, as well as Tableau, and it's all nice and it's fantastic and it's a lot of fun. But this is not the company. The shirt I have on is not the company I work for. Basically, what you have to understand is that it doesn't matter how many courses you're going to do. What matters is what effort you're going to put into it. So yes, you might have to submit a lot of resumes, but don't just submit resumes to tech jobs. If you go and look for jobs at companies you don't even think of, companies that you drive around in the street and you buy your groceries from, or you buy, in Dallas, Texas, for example, HEB is hiring data analytics. Toyota is hiring analytics. SoFi is hiring analytics. Walmart is hiring, not here, but in general, Walmart and Target and all these companies, huge companies that, they may not pay tech salaries, but they have jobs. They have a lot of jobs. And I think the problem is a lot of people are wanting that tech job. And I understand you want that tech job, but most of you, like me, are not smart enough to get the tech job, and that's fine. And you're not good enough to get those tech jobs, which is fine. Maybe not now you won't be able to do it, but maybe in a year or 2 years or 3 years you'll be able to do it. Today, now, you trying to get your first job in analytics probably won't happen. So how did I get into my first job, my current position? Hopefully, every day I go in and I'm hopeful that I'm still going to have a job. Basically, I moved here and I just started submitting resumes. And again, it's luck as well as just taking out the grind. So I submitted my resumes and I have a very, very good resume. My brother works in HR, so I had him read over it. And again, this is one of those things that's, I'm lucky. I have that opportunity that my brother does work in HR and is able to go over my resume. So again, if most of you probably know someone who works in HR, recruiting, or something, I imagine they'll be able to help you with your resume somehow. And there's also a lot of free resources online on how to build a resume. A resume is not supposed to be difficult. Reddit has, there's an engineering Reddit forum. I'll link it in the description. I don't use Reddit anymore. I don't even have an account anymore, but I'll link it in the description. The subreddit, great tips, and really, like, the people, like, it's hard to post questions, but their wiki is probably the best. I always recommend people to go there. So I updated my resume, created a resume, obviously used ChatGPT to sort of flesh it out a little bit. Don't worry about using it, but I wouldn't recommend having it verbatim. I would definitely change things to make it more suitable for you, whatever it might be. I didn't even put the amount of much experience I had. I only put 2 years of work experience, like the 2 last jobs I had. I had my skill section. I had my experience section where I had the 2 jobs I had. Then I had the project section. Now the project section is very, very important. Now you can obviously go on YouTube and have people basically walk you through step by step all these different projects, whether it's the Titanic, whether it's, I don't know, there's Alex Analyst has the bicycle one, which everybody does. And that's fine and dandy. But what got me the job, I believe, is the first interview I had with my manager, with my current manager. And we spoke about it, and I had some interesting projects. I had a YouTube analytics project where I was able to use YouTube's API and pull data from it, and then sort of create a small little Power BI with it. We didn't actually go through the project, but it was something interesting. So they asked me about it, and I was able to explain. It was actually in a field. So I did an analytics about Sam Sulek. I'm really into fitness, so it's something that I was interested in and could explain. The second project I had is, my wife is a nurse, so what I did is I actually went online and found all these nursing statistics about the U.S. and rents and how to live in the U.S. and all these things, because we were moving back here, and I created this whole tableau about it. So my manager actually asked me a question, and we formulated sort of an analytical problem based on one of the projects I had, which is very interesting. The second interview I had was with a coworker that I'm working with now. And I asked him after I got hired, and he said, why'd you hire me? He said, because it looked like you were able to learn on your own and you were self-sufficient. And the other guy that I spoke to, the only project he had was what he did in school. He didn't go over that. So if you guys are going to do a project, which is fantastic, I think projects are really fun and they're cool, and I wouldn't say they give you real world experience, because I could never say that, because now actually working in it, the projects that I did are not real world experience, but they give you an idea of how to work. And you get to learn a little bit about the program, a little bit more about how to write Python code if you want to do Python. I don't even use Python at all. I don't remember how to use Python. I know the syntax and everything, but I don't actually know how to use Python, and I don't use it in my day-to-day. SQL, I know it from my last position, so I'm good with that. Excel, everybody, I think if you don't know Excel, you have to find a different job. Sort of the basic. Power BI, again, I think you should be familiar with it, but you'll never be able to do very, very complicated DAX or complicated Power BIs by yourself. It just won't happen, because you don't actually know what you need to do. Tableau, same thing. My recommendation, if you find a project you like, so let's say when I did in my analytics one, what I did is I pulled the data I wanted. Okay, because you more or less know what you want to do. And then what I did is this. I went to ChatGPT. Very simple. I told him, here are the columns that I have in my data set. This is the exact data I have. Not the actual data set, but this is the information I have. Tell me, if you were a senior data analyst, what would you like to see? Spits you back a result. Then you're able to create that and replicate it. And then you have some sort of template to run after. Okay? So I believe that is one of the key things that got me to my position today. Also, you have to exude confidence. You have to exude the fact that not only that you are ready to learn and ready to actually become a good employee, because at the end of the day, the companies don't want to have to deal with you. They don't want to have to baby you and sit and hold your hand. You are going to have to grind at this job. You're going to have to grind, and you're going to have to grind and make sure that you are working hard. And the reason is you're going to have to, when you're in the interview, you have to make them think that you can learn anything. Because if you aren't able to learn by yourself, it's not relevant. It's going to be very difficult for you. The only things that they really help me with now is getting me to the correct data sets and the databases that I need to work on my thing. But for example, in Power BI, my manager doesn't know Power BI. He knows a little bit of Power BI. But I've learned more Power BI, and I started this job at the end of November. I've learned more Power BI in the past 3 months than I probably could have learned anywhere by myself. And I've done Power BI at a very, very high level already, to my knowledge. Okay? Because at the end of the day, you're going to have to sit and learn, and it's going to suck. Now, back to how I got the job, or how I started this, how I looked for work. Create an Excel file where I was applying to positions, but I wasn't looking for tech companies. I mean, if I saw a tech company that was interesting or something like that, or a startup or whatever, I would send it, which is not a big deal. What I did is I went to one of the things I did, which I actually got a good response rate, but I didn't get a job out of it, was this. I went to LinkedIn, and in the search bar, I went to posts, and I typed in entry data analyst. Okay? This will give you, or hiring a data analyst, or hiring entry level, or whatever. I know this is not like a big secret, but I think a lot of people forget about it because they go to the job listing and then they just hit easy apply all the time. What happens is you will get posts by people, and I typed in the city too. I typed Dallas. You'll find people and recruiters that are posting statuses saying that they're looking for a data analytics, and you have their email. You can send them email. I think almost everybody replied. I think I didn't find that many that were like relevant or recent. A lot of them were a little bit older, but the ones that were a bit sooner, I think I got a through rate of like out of the 5 I sent, I think 3 or 4 of them actually contacted me back, at least by email. So that's how I sort of went through the process, as well as I, went onto LinkedIn and I found companies. I thought, okay, who's a big company? Let's look. So, I don't know, Walmart's a big company. Let's see what they have. Target is a big company. I'm just giving you examples, but you have to think about what companies that you go to and see every single day, or organizations that are in the state or in the city that you live in. So, for example, in Dallas, we have HEB. We have Buc-ee's. Buc-ee's, if you've ever heard of Buc-ee's, it's one of the largest, it's like the largest gas station in the U.S. They have an office, and they're looking for data analytics people. They are looking for data analysts and business analysts. 7-Eleven is looking for all types of gas analysts and data analysts and pricing analysts and sales analysts. They're looking for all these different types of positions. Now, I'm not saying that all these people called back to me. Most of them did not. I applied to Wingstop. Wingstop was looking for a product analyst, and I actually got a reply from them. I already accepted this perm position, but they came back to me. Now, obviously, after the 150 companies I applied to, only one got the job. I had a handful of first call interviews, and most of them didn't even go back to me, and a lot of them just didn't. And it's a grind, it was a full-time job. I wasn't working at the time because we just moved, and luckily I'm in a financially good position where I didn't need to work at that time to be able to to live for about a month or so. I was able to do it, which was very good, and it did help. So again, it's based on what you're able to do, and I think that's what a lot of YouTubers are missing. It's it's not a one size fits all. It's whatever you're able to do. My recommendation is not to go for the tech companies. My recommendation is go to the big box stores, go to legacy companies, because a lot of them are trying now to build out their analytics team. And they're looking for any warm bodies that can actually sit and write queries and learn on the job stuff. When I was still living in Israel, I applied to an airline company. And I think if I was living here, they would have probably hired me because I knew SQL and Power BI and all that stuff. It's not about how much you know. It's about that that you can learn the tool. Okay? Nobody expects you to walk in. I very highly doubt that nobody really expects you, unless you lie and play yourself up to be better than you actually are at your first job, that you're going to know everything. They don't expect you to know everything. But what they do expect you is that you can come in and say, listen, I can learn anything, whatever you want. And this is exactly the projects I've done. This is stuff when you do your self projects that you made up, not Titanic and not customer service. I think there's another one. There's the bicycle one. There's Titanic. I think there's a telecom one that, those are fine to do on your own, that you want to just work on, let's say, predictions, or you want to build a Power BI dashboard or whatever. But something you put on your resume has to be unique to you. Okay? I wouldn't even do a LinkedIn job thing because so many people have done it already and the data set already exists. So you have to do something that's either unique to you, something that's interesting to you. If you speak to a lot of people that actually got into the field of analytics, a lot of them did get the job because, they had an interesting project. And that's why I got my job. Again, my first manager, one of the questions he asked me was about, one of I think one of the interview questions was like an analytics exercise, and he took one of the projects I did and made that into an analytics exercise. The second interview I had, again, he spoke to me about the YouTube analytics that I did using YouTube's API. It's interesting. Same with the last interview. He also asked me about the YouTube, and it's like, what did you actually do with it and stuff? And I explained to him that I was able to pull all this information and then tell you exactly what workouts he did and when, and what videos did the best and what videos did the worst, and you have to explain to them things. You have to explain to them that's what that you can do, that you are familiar with how to do it. When people say, oh, you need to learn DAX, you need to learn SQL, you need to learn Excel, you need to learn all this, you do. But you need to be more familiar with it as opposed to learning everything. Because I promise you this, SQL you can learn, but you're never going to be able to learn how to use a subquery at the right time, because when you do a self project, you won't do it. You need to know it exists. For Power BI, you need to know you're never going to be doing complicated DAX when you're working on your own project. You need to know that the complicated DAX exists. You need to know exactly what to look for. I don't know any DAX. I didn't know that much DAX when I started this position, and now I'm doing running totals. I'm doing percent running totals on measures, on percentages. I'm pulling in crazy amounts of data, and I'm getting all my pages to link up to one another. I'm getting automations and all this stuff. Do you think I know how to do? No. You Google. You have to find it. You got to Google it. You got to, it's hard to do. It's not easy. It's definitely not easy. So I want to dispel the rumors that these people are, these YouTubers and analytics YouTubers are saying that, oh, just take my, pay all this money, whatever it is. I'm not going to throw Alex the Analyst under the bus, or who else is there? There's a lot of other ones. Alex the Analyst is the easiest one to me. There's Luboff or something. I don't remember his name. LaRose. There's a lot of analytics people in this space. And they're all very, very good. They're good at teaching. But teaching can get you only so far. And doing the projects that they tell you to do can only get you so far. Those projects are not for your resume. I wouldn't even say the YouTubers that post, use this project for your resume. I wouldn't even say that, because you don't care about the project. You're not interested about the project. You don't even know what any of the stuff means. But if you sit there and fucking grind out how to solve your syntax error, you will be a better programmer. You will be a better analyst, because you will need to find out what the fuck is wrong and why the fuck it's not working, because that's what your job is going to be all day. Your job is going to sit there and running the same query 47 times until it works. And you're going to have errors, and you're going to have to see, and you're going to figure out why those errors are, and you have no one to ask because it's your first job. You're not going to ask because your manager might not even know. I had a Power BI question. I was like, listen, do you know this? He's like, I don't know anything about Power BI. He built one Power BI. I've already built 3. And, he's like, I don't know Power BI. I can tell you about data, but I don't know. He knows SQL and stuff, but he doesn't know Power BI very well. It's a very long video, I know, but I just have a lot to say about the topic. So yeah, if you want to see more, and if you want to, ask questions, you can in the comments. And maybe in the next video, I'll do like a Q&A about my work and my job and what I actually do and what I actually studied, and maybe we can go into my GitHub and my shitty GitHub with code that I haven't looked at in months. I'm just gonna be real with you guys. Most of these people are, I'm just filming this on my phone. I decided 10 minutes ago that I'm gonna make my first video. So if you have any questions, leave a comment, leave a like. If you want to subscribe. I don't know. Let's do it.